We are in there.
Let me fix that.
We'll give it to like 8:04, 8:05, then we'll start.
Yep, sounds good. How's my voice sound? Clear?
Good. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Good.
The music sounds a little sporadic.
Yeah, it was on my phone. That's why. So
Mm-hmm.
I turned it off for them.
Okay.
Where did Derek go?
Grab food.
What's on the menu? What are we eating?
I asked for noodles from this place called Noodle Revolution.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Asian food.
Yeah, I haven't had ramen in quite a while. So I'm have to go get
But
some.
when I get back to Houston, I'm gonna make you and the kids some ramen.
Let's do it. I'm game for that. Let's do it.
Yes. I see Stephanie and Candy. Thank y'all for joining. Hey, wifeys. Love it.
All right. All right, we'll give it another 60 seconds that people get in.
All right. Okay.
This is water. It's water, everybody.
Don't believe him, y'all.
Right.
Me too for the food. I got you. Right. I got you.
Yeah.
Yo, like low key, I think I'm gonna come back to Houston and be more tired than I left because I'm just gonna be cooking. I'm just gonna be cooking.
Yeah, I know. What is your specialty? What do you prefer to make?
I like cooking a lot of stuff, but I really like things with noodles and I like things that slow cook. Like things that have to like braise for a long time. Nyla! Hey boo! Thank you for joining. But yeah, things that like have to braise and slow cook for a while, things that like fill up the house and make it smell good. So when you walk in, you just like, yeah, that's what I like.
Brisket. You make a brisket?
I'm okay with it. I still gotta work on it. But we're gonna get a smoker. So check back in a couple months. I'm probably gonna be pretty beastly.
All right. Sounds good. We'll make it happen. All right. Let me go ahead and get this rolling in a second.
I'm so happy that my ladies joined in. I'm so happy y'all are here. Yes.
All right. All right, so let's get rolling. All right, everybody, thank you for coming. This is a live that Vicky and I have been talking about for quite some time that we wanted to put together. We've been having conversations for probably last year, right? Is that right?
Yeah, year.
Probably last year. We've been talking about everything from, I know he's a hot topic, Kevin Samuels, to our own relationships and whatnot. Well, before I do that, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Bill Foster. Obviously, some of y'all know me. Ran a gym for a while. I popped into the tech platform. I hopped into the tech industry and whatnot. Vicky, tell them about yourself a little bit.
Well, the things y'all are gonna learn about me, I'd rather you learn over the series of shows. But from Houston, of course, met Mr. Foster at Breathe More. And I'm so glad we have kept in touch, even after he left Texas and came back, even after I left Texas, and his friendship has been truly invaluable to me after I left. So I'm so happy that we're here having this talk. And Bethany, hi, honey. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. So, again, just to kind of clear it up, we've been wanting to have these conversations for quite some time. To talk about relationships. Miss Vicky is in a beautiful relationship with Derek. I know him well. I love him. I'm rooting for him. Y'all gotta make it to the end. that's the way we see it. But with the conversations that we've had, I suck at relationships, in all honesty. But I want to be able to learn. And some of these conversations that we wanted to have, it's kind of an opportunity for myself and Vicky to learn other people's perspectives, opinions, insights that we may not have seen or looked at before. So with that being said, we just want to figure out, we want to hop into the topic. The topic that we're talking about today is roles in relationships. I think that everybody is kind of, on edge with regards to roles and what that looks like specifically. I know we're kind of in a modern era. We have modern men and women, and there are some people who kind of still carry some traditionalist views. And then there are some people who kind of blend those two. And so, we obviously want to have that conversation. We'll be talking about the topic for the next 30 minutes, and then the last 30 minutes, we're probably going to try to bring somebody on to give their insight if they're interested in it. But again, we just kind of want to open the stage for people who are interested in relationships, who want to learn stuff about it, to be able to talk about it. The name of the live that we're calling it is On the Spectrum. So we'll talk about everything from relationships, even health and wellness, anything that we could think of along that line that people want to talk about, we'll probably try to talk about specifically. So back to the topic of roles in relationships. The question at hand is, are there roles in relationships? Do we need roles in relationships? What do people feel about them? What do men feel about them? What do women feel about them? We just kind of want to get out there and start talking about it a little bit. I did a little bit of research in trying to understand it, to lay the foundation of what relationships look like today. I wanted to kind of understand what's the cost of raising a family today, and then I did some comparison with regards to what people make today, but how much is going to cost and how much do we make, and kind of give people like kind of a realistic view and approach to relationships in general. So, we will probably talk about all ethnicities and races in these conversations, but if I'm being honest, our focal point is obviously Black relationships. We kind of want to focus in on that a little bit because I think Vicky and I feel like they need a little bit of focus. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of the Kevin Samuels of the world. The Kevin Samuels of the world. We personally feel like he has some valid points, some good points, but we feel like he's not giving any solutions. He's just kind of addressing the problem, talking about the problems, but not really giving any solutions. So we kind of want to be solution-based when it comes to these conversations. And we'll offer things that we may come up with that say, hey, this could work for men, this could work for women. Here's a different way of looking at it, things that we all could kind of use in a relationship. So to kind of give a foundation of what the cost is for a family in general, we'll just start with giving the median incomes for Black people, Black families in general is $41,000, and all races was $63,000. Black men only make $40,000, and Black women make $35,000. That's on average. The cost to have a child today in America is $230,000 from birth to the age of 17. That's a lot of money. So it costs around $67,000 to raise a child a year that's just here in America. So it's pretty daunting. I'm more of the analytic when it comes to this stuff, and so I wanted to address for lack of better terms, the scientific approach to relationships. So I went up and I drudged up some peer-reviewed report for relationships specifically. Right, I went that right. And so I'm going to read an excerpt from it, and then Vicky, I'm gonna hand it off to you, and you'll be able to kind of address your views. So this was an excerpt in the peer review report. It was called, I think I wrote it down. I'll get it for you guys before the end of this live. But here it goes. In contrast to the pervasive dissatisfaction expressed by the woman in the masculine man, feminine woman dyads, the woman in dyad in which one or both partners were rated as androgynous tended to be quite satisfied with the quality of their lives and the intimate relationships. In particular, androgynous women paired with androgynous men reported considerable success. So in the research that I did, I found that men and women, both who tended to be, like I said, androgynous, who tend to carry both masculine and feminine traits, tended to have more success. The traditional masculine men and the traditional feminine women didn't have as much success. And so that being said, I'm kind of landing it off to you. So tell me what you think.
Okay. And thank you for reading that.
Mm-hmm.
So Abdul definitely approaches our conversations with more statistics and structure, and my thoughts are a little bit more free-flowing. I want to start off with what I have to say. It's a quote from Esther Perel. If you don't know her, she's a renowned Belgian psychotherapist, and she said in her 2013 TED Talk, "Everywhere that romanticism has entered, there has been a crisis of desire being qualified as the owning or the wanting of another person." Mm-hmm. So this is the first time in history that we are trying to experience sexuality in the long term that's rooted in pleasure and desire and not on survival or genetic legacy. On one hand, we want predictability, stability, familiarity, and safety. And yet on the other hand, we also want surprise, journey, romance, and belonging. So that sounds good, right?
Yes.
But the point she poses is that we are unfairly expecting this from one person.
I like that.
So tying back into roles and expectations in the new relationship. I did ask a couple of women to give me their thoughts on what do they feel are traditional roles and versus the modern roles. So I'm going to go through some of the things that they said for traditional. So when they thought of a traditional woman, they thought of pretty, religious, nurturing, domestic, loyal, passive, submissive, and forgiving. And I know a lot of y'all ladies don't like that word. Don't throw eggs at the screen. Another traditional was to not embarrass the man publicly, no outside children. I'm just gonna sip my tea on that. No public indecency, and do not share his secrets. So what are your thoughts on that from the rational male mind?
The rational male mind. I feel like from a traditional standpoint, it's fairly on point. I think men are, in some of the studies that I read, men tend to be more physical, be attracted to the physical more than women, right? I would say that. I mean, I think it's pretty on point. I don't see anything wrong with anything that was said there from a male's perspective, right?
From a man's perspective, right?
Right. Now there is the opposite side. I understand that,
So then I asked different women to tell me what they felt about the roles of modern women, what they feel the modern woman needs to, and I hate to say bring to the table because it's like so washed at this point, but essentially bring to the table. And one lady said, we're now expected to bring more money to the table. A lot of women are
this is
out
women.
earning men.
This
Women.
is okay.
This is only me asking women
Okay.
to bring more money to the table.
Mm.
Another woman said, be a breadwinner and boss babe. Another woman said, Abdul, don't laugh.
I mean, all right, my bad.
And another said, companionship, but no domestic obligations. So when you hear that, you think about how vastly different that is to go from the beautiful, nurturing, religious woman to the breadwinner, boss babe. So it's like, so where's the disconnect happening here?
Well, I will agree that I feel like modern women have more of a task at hand. I will agree with that. I think that, given the statistics that I read with regards to what black men and black women make in America on average, just to raise a child, you're left with what, maybe $20,000 left to survive off of, and that's a lot for a woman to handle. Now she's expected to go work, she's expected to make money, and at the same time return home to try to be sexy and appealing to her man, and even submissive in some regards, where she's probably spent the majority of the day being probably more on the aggressive side, probably more in her masculine. I do believe that that's a task for women. Now, I think that expectations is part of the conversation, right? Does a woman and a man, what are their expectations with regards to living? Do we want to have a $150,000, $200,000 home? Off the bat, $500,000 home, whatever. Are those the expectations? And then that's part of the conversation as well, right? Because if you're expected to work, do all these things, and then the man is expected, you're expected to come home and do this, but the man isn't really pulling his weight, and you kind of have that dynamic as well.
But the same can also be said if you flip the script. If the man is going out here making the money, making it happen, but there's like the woman isn't pulling her weight.
So that makes the question, right? Yeah. So let's say a man goes out, and from a woman's perspective, say a man goes out and is making $200,000 to $500,000, right? He's providing, he's taking care of everything. From a woman's perspective, what does she think her role is supposed to be?
And this is where it really varies on the spectrum of asking the woman what she thinks about. Some women feel that nowadays all they need to do is just show up. They're not bringing any concrete tangibles to the table. They're just showing up. And just because they're here and, they're giving you the cookie in a box, that's supposed to be it. Well, and it's gotten to this point where men are like so afraid not afraid, that's a bad word, but they're just so hesitant to try and turn the tables and see like, okay, how can we come back to the table and communicate and compromise?
Well, again, I think that's part of it, having a conversation. But again, I know that you have the perspective that most women today feel as if they should just show up. That's all they should do, right? But let's try another perspective. If a man is taking care of everything, expenses and all, what is her role? What should she bring to the table? Not necessarily should, but what is there for her to bring to the table?
The domestication. And I know that some women don't want to hear that, but it's definitely the domestication. It's the nurturing. It's the holding down the fort. It's taking care of house and home. If your financial contributions are not really doing that much for the household, then I don't really see the excuse to not do those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
especially since so many men want that.
Mm. And
I don't see why not.
so this begs the question, is it fair? Is it fair for a man to have an expectation of a woman? If I'm providing everything, my expectation to be, hey, like, can I get a meal cooked? Right? Can I, can we have the
Of
house
course, of
cold?
course, it's
Right?
fine for you to have your expectation. What? But okay, look, we're in America. People have expectations all day long because guess what? As women, we expect you to bring that bag home, don't we? Without fail, we expect you to bring it. I'm serious. We
Right.
expect you to bring it home. We expect you to pay majority of the bills. If
Yeah.
something breaks down on our car, we expect you to go fix it.
Right. I concur with that.
And it doesn't matter how tired you are.
You still got to do it.
If we're in the mood, you got to serve it up in a box for us. So come on, come on.
So,
So it's like, so no, I don't think it's wrong to have an expectation because we have spoken and unspoken expectations all the time.
yeah. And all right, this is my perspective again from just modern society, right? I think that there is a huge lack of understanding what it is men require slash want, desire within a relationship. I think that, and this is just my opinion, social media and whatnot has littered itself with telling us what women want, what they desire. I know I worked at an elementary and a high school. Boys young as like 7, 8 years old are telling me like are regurgitating stuff that they see on social media, telling us how to treat a woman, what you should get her, for lack of better terms, buying a bag, take her out to eat, etc., things like that. Like that's
That young.
right. But I just do feel like there's a huge disconnect, and maybe even men don't know exactly what it is they want. Maybe they've been disconnected, but there is a huge disconnect with regards to what it is men want nowadays. What do they require? You know, Again, I know it's not the popular thing to say, but Kevin Samuels has brought this up before and said that, men don't really care about a lot of the things that women tout out there today. So as an example, like, not to say we want dumb women, but a woman going to get X amount of degrees and having this and that. I don't know if they care. I don't know if they care about that stuff anymore, right? You asked
Well,
me,
we have a, and I'm sorry to interrupt. We have a comment here from the right realtor. She says that men are stuck on image.
uh,
How do you feel about that, Mr. Foster?
I wouldn't say we're stuck on image. I would say that we're how do I put it? I would say we're naturally physical. Take a look at a lot of what men do by nature, right? We're physical by nature. We work out. Like sometimes that's how we get our aggression out. We play sports. Not that women don't, but it's natural for us to have testosterone to move in these physical realms. And so, suffice it to say, men, and this was done in some of the studies that I read. Men are more inclined to be attracted to something more physically attractive versus their counterparts. And so it's just kind of comes with the territory. It's just what men are. It's like women being, for lack of better terms, more emotional than men, right? Or having
Right.
probably being more in tune with their emotions than men. That just comes with
Mhm.
the territory. Women also mature faster than men, so that's like one of those natural things that you kind of can't get away from. It's just natural for us to have that.
I got you.
Yeah.
And then training with Tootie.
Yeah.
I love that name, training with Tootie. I feel like everybody stuck on image, both genders. Yeah. And then Biz Lawyer Roddy, or if I mispronounce that, I am sorry.
That's
Boys
the
are
goal.
stuck on image.
Yeah.
Men, I think, want more than just an IG model. Amen, sis. That's true.
Okay, so I will agree with that. But let's just be honest. We live in a day and age where, you know, everything's in our faces. You turn on your phone, it's all around social media. So, it's kind of it just is what it is today, right? For that to kind of be the thing. But I would agree with her and say that men aren't necessarily attracted to that. It's not what we're looking for. Don't get me wrong. we want you to be presentable. Like I take care of myself. I feel like I do the right things with myself. So I would want a woman to kind of to mirror that in some regard. You know?
Right. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right. So
I got
to
you.
draw it back to roles in relationships, are we saying now that one of the roles of the woman is to keep herself looking a specific way? Would we say that that would be one of the roles?
Woo! Mr.
Hot topic,
Foster,
dog.
I
Hot topic.
I feel like the eggs are just about to be thrown at my face. Now, okay, so let me put it this way. I do not feel all of us women are designed to be out here size 2, size 4, size 6. All of us are not built for that, okay? And that's not what this dialogue is about, okay? We're not about to get into dress size and neck size
No.
and finger size. We're not about to do all that. Listen. But just keeping yourself presentable and being healthy, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
You being healthy keeps you in the best possible position to live a long life, be there for your kids, be there for your man or your woman. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well,
And the expectations of what looking good is, I feel they need to be discussed with your partner.
I was going to say that your partner has to be able to express what it is I want you to look like, right? Not and also them being understanding. Like as an example, if a woman has a child, that is a complete change to her body. And I think the majority of men, if they're good men, understand that, there is going to be some difference there, right? And it comes with the territory. Now, again, when you get to that level, you're hopefully with a woman for not just her physical appearance, obviously, right? But
Of course.
for who she is as a person. But it comes down to having that conversation and being able to say, all right, this is what I, for lack of better terms, expect. Like if I work out 4 or 5 times a week, I'm probably not going to be with a woman who doesn't, right? Not even 4 or 5 times a week, but if she just doesn't work out 4 or 5 times in every 6 months, like that's just, it's not going to be something that we have in common, right?
Not 6 months. Not 6 months.
I mean,
Come
dang,
on now.
you got to be able to do something. You know what I mean? Like, dang. But
Hopefully, in 6 months, at least she's taking a walk somewhere.
right,
Thank you, Jesus. Okay. Wow.
So to sum all that up, would you say for a woman, the roles in the relationship for a woman are, what would you say?
I would say nurturing,
Okay.
as women being in their natural feminine element.
Okay.
Like the true divine feminine, it is nurturing.
Right.
It is caring, whether that is just a couple,
Right.
or whether that is an entire family or a blended family.
Right.
I do feel that women naturally are easier with nurturing and caring. Now the domestic, it kind of, because again, it's a new day and age. Women out here are really making their own bag, and if you are a high ladder career woman or something like that, there's no way that can expect you to come home and put a 4-course prefix menu meal on the table. There's just no way.
Right.
But to support, to nurture, to uplift, I feel that, and I feel that these things are naturally in women to do.
Yeah.
And when they don't want to do these things, I feel that there's deeper causes that come back to that. And there's some conversations, dig a little bit deeper. Maybe there's something stemming from childhood. Maybe there's former trauma from a relationship or multiple relationships. Or I just feel like when they reject the natural divine feminine, then it's not really about, oh, I don't want to do that. It's more like well, let's just dive in there and see what's going on and why you don't want to do it, because there's probably a reason.
Right. It stems from something.
Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong. If y'all disagree, then you could totally join and chop it up with us. Let
Do
us
we
know.
have anybody that disagrees that wants to hop on? I know we are having somebody come on in a few minutes, but if anybody disagrees.
And welcome, Camille.
So the roles of a man, in your opinion, from a woman's perspective, what would you say the roles of a man are?
To be the majority, but this is like me, my relationship. It's to be majority provider, to
Yeah.
be support, to be a leader, to provide that anchor and structure for the household.
Right.
I feel the true masculine is leadership.
Okay.
And when we don't encourage our men, since we're keeping this mostly black, when we don't keep our black men in roles of leadership, it begins to unravel the whole black society as we know it.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that with some of the negative effects of single parenthood. And I'm not talking about the good mothers. There's a
Okay,
lot of
so
bad mothers out here.
what is the holdup then? All right, so I actually saw somebody post when I asked the question, what is the role of a man? Lead, protect, provide, decision maker. So
Right.
I'll be honest. In some of my relationships, I've had hangups in that regard, right? Where I feel like I'm a fairly intellectual individual. I feel like I'm fair. I'm a Libra, so it's in me. But I had some hangups when it came to me saying, okay, I'm going to make some decisions in some areas, right? Why do you think we run into that problem in today's relationships?
Why you run into problems? Kind of reword that.
So if I, as a man, say, all right, I'm a lead, I'm going to protect and provide, that's the given. I think most even women are okay with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that time ever comes for me to protect, provide, lead, make decisions, there can be some pushback in modern relationships. Why do you think that is?
A lot of the pushback could come from maybe you're dating a career woman
Mm-hmm.
or a woman that in her everyday life before she comes home, she has to stand in a more masculine space.
Mm-hmm.
She has to give direction, she has to give orders, she has to be tough, maybe she has to manage people, and that could be a part of it. Maybe she comes home and she feels like it's kind of hard to take that mantle off,
Yeah.
you know. Maybe she's in situations outside of the house where she has to just rely on herself. She has to rely on her own brain, her own ideology. And so maybe coming home, it's kind of hard to flip that switch.
Right. So somebody said, and I feel like it's a fair point, women don't follow who they don't trust or respect. Okay, so
Mm.
I have an opinion there. I do feel as if there is a push in society for us to not respect men in the way that they do lead. And so that disrespect can follow or can come from, just thinking about what a man should be based on societal terms. What do you think about that?
Mm. Well, and again, I can only speak on the Black culture experience. There absolutely is a war to
Mm-hmm.
divide the Black man, the Black woman.
Right.
Um, if you take it back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, we had very strong unions. But oh, hello, gorgeous.
Hi,
We
Queen.
had very yes. So we had very strong
Mm-hmm.
unions,
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of torn apart with the introduction of drugs, incarceration, things like that. Those things started tearing apart the Black family, adding to the war, pitting man against woman.
Right. Right. I agree.
Then, as we continue forward in time, we reward women who don't want their men around by government assistance. That's another thing that pits us against each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now lately, and this may be a little abstract, but I also feel the higher education, as far as like Black women outrageously outnumbering men in higher education, I feel the degrees and the doctorates and the PhDs and all that stuff, it's given women this sense of, this is another way that I don't need my man. So it's like generation after generation, it's like just a new tactic. What's the next way we can pit them against each other?
Yes, it's toxic femininity. You know, oftentimes we talk about toxic masculinity, but we as women don't take accountability for what we do to also inflict trauma or to further the agenda that's been unconsciously instilled into our minds. So just with everything that you just said, you know, and even with all the artists, you know, we talk about independent women, and then, you know, from Destiny Childs all up into, you know, we have the City Girls, you know, talking about, you know, tricking and everything, or, you know, Cardi B, broke boys don't deserve no kitty. So it's just like, it's making things more physical and taken away from spirituality and the whole purpose as to why we even exist. And you mentioned something earlier when y'all were talking about relationships and how why people get together, whether it's for, you know, desires or to actually maintain the bloodline. And people don't really understand that eugenics is real. Like, eugenics is a formula that's utilized to exterminate a particular race. And that's done through dividing our families. You know, if you're able to divide our families and to withhold people from reproducing, then you're holding essentially that culture back in the many ways. And so it's interesting when we talk about the roles in relationships, because I'm a firm believer that, you know, we are not equal. I don't want to be equal to a man. You know, I believe that the man is the head and the woman is the neck. You know, we help the man, point him in the right direction as to where he needs to go to further his vision. And a man without a vision really isn't even in a position to even need to be in a relationship with the woman, because we as women, we're helpmates, we're nurturers. You know, it's just really in our DNA that we're just built differently. But, you know, now we do live in an age where, you know, the spirit of entrepreneurship, you know, me, myself, I am an entrepreneur. So I know what it's like to have to be very aggressive and very assertive in my field, just because, you know, when you in the industry, especially entertainment industry such as myself, that stuff can really harden you. And you know, I ain't gonna lie, like sometimes I do want to just go home and just go to sleep. Like, I don't have the extra energy to entertain or even want to date, just because of having to share my energy with someone. And it's a lot. So just to kind of touch on everything that y'all said all together. But yeah.
And so
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. By the way, this is very dynamic, everybody. I know she just hopped into the conversation, but I want to tell everybody she's the dopest. Love Barry. How long have I known you, Barry? 3 years, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years, 2018.
Yeah. So we had a question. Somebody asked, do you feel that feminism has played a role in destroying households over the years?
Well, there's a difference between feminism, like the feminism itself, like femininity, versus like the feminist movement. And I do believe the feminist movement plays a role in that, just because it's like they're trying to spin off of equality, you know, women's rights. You know, yes, there was a time where, you know, women weren't granted certain abilities to do certain things. And now we feel that we have to overcompensate for that in order for our voices to be heard. And now that we've done that, it's just becoming toxic. And
I mean, look at the slut walk.
Huh?
I said, look at the slut walk.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Like, how did we get here?
Yeah. And it's
how we got the chi-chis and the yams out? Like, how did we go from equal rights to now we just got little nippies everywhere? Like, how is it happening?
Type, you know, and you know, I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I battle with myself as to like, damn, is it really worth having these morals? Like, are these, like, how is it that these women that's really on some F niggas type vibe, and for some reason men, like, that's what they tricking off into, you know, investing into, whereas seeing the woman just as divine, you know, divine femininity and what women really add to men, you know. No, it's more than just having sex. Like, anybody can go bust a nut, but are you mastering, you know, sex alchemy? Are you manifesting with your partner? Are you spiritually feeding your mate? You know, like, it's so much more to what we have been taught, and that's because society is dumbing us down to keep things from a spiritual standpoint, you know.
Yes.
And
so there was someone, I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry, but a guy said something. He said, not true, men don't want that mess, boys want that. And so
Hayes in here cutting up. Hey Hayes, we see you cutting up.
I do tend to agree that there has been a push for modernism so much that we have men, right, who kind of support that type of, you know, behavior, for lack of better terms. And again, not to say that those women are wrong in what they're doing. I'm here to learn. I'm here to figure this out, but doesn't seem too appealing for the masses of men. Hence the reason why a majority of men are kind of leaning towards the Kevin Samuels of the world, right? They're applauding those type of efforts because it's just not anything that men are like, for lack of a better term.
Well, I think it's really, you can say you don't like it, but as you stated earlier, men are more physical and women are more, you know, driven by their emotions. So you can say you don't want it, but if you're carrying emotional and mental trauma from your childhood and that generation has been passed on from your parents and your parents' parents, you get accustomed to dysfunction or don't know that you are indeed in a dysfunctional or a toxic relationship or entertaining toxicity. And so a man cannot want that in a woman, but then once you start having sex with somebody, now you got a soul tie to that person. And you cannot want to be with that person because they X, Y, and Z. But oh man, it's good. You know, like, you just can't let go, and you don't know why you got such an attachment. And then you start mending, you know, your standards. You start lowering your expectations and be like, you know, well, maybe I can deal with that, or maybe, you know, we just need some time, or maybe it's just growing pains. Now you start gaslighting yourself into believing that it's okay. So like you say, boys want that, but technically, you know, there's two different levels. You got men that don't want it and that are firm on it, but then you get whipped, or there's certain things about a woman that you like that you just begin to start tolerating things just so that you can keep things, you know, peaceful.
So I'm gonna shift a little bit, right? And I think that women have kind of been harped on quite a bit lately. I'm just being honest. And so let's shift a little bit, right? I think that we've heard the points with regards to divine feminine, right? So from women, Black powerful women like yourselves, can you please tell us what it is you're looking for in the masculine? What does that look like to you all?
Well, I'm single, so to be honest with you, it's hard to answer that question because I know what I'm looking for, but I didn't grow up having that. So the things that I'm looking for, when I get it, scares the shit out of me, or it don't look packaged the way I want it to look packaged. And then eventually I just become the problem. Like, I become the person that's, you know,
well, to the best of your ability, give us, I'll say three traits that you feel are of the divine masculine.
Definitely a provider.
Okay, that's one.
A man that takes initiative, he's intentional. I don't know if that's considered two things, but I feel like it kind of blends a little bit. So maybe just say a man that's intentional.
Okay.
And loyalty, really. I feel like
so loyalty, intention, and what was the first one? Provider. Okay. Ms. Vicky, please share your three.
So I would have to say the man's knowledge of self is a big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
A man that
wait.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, let me stop. Can you please expand on knowledge of self? Can you please do that?
Self-awareness. I should have said that one. I changed my answers.
Yes, love. You can switch it up. But basically, when I think about a man with knowledge of self, it's a man that knows who he is in this world. Like, don't get me wrong, we are constantly evolving, constantly changing. You know, who you are today, Abdul, it's not going to be who you are in 5 years.
Of course. Okay.
And that's okay, because your partner is just going to keep falling in love with the evolution of you.
Right.
But when I say comfort in your space, it's like being comfortable in your masculinity, like just being able to walk out into the world and just anyone can't easily sway you or influence you, you know, change your beliefs and change your decisions and change your faith overnight.
Perfect. I'm going to ask some questions with regards to that, and you kind of tell me if I'm on the right path. So a man who has just as an example, let's say a man that has a set of morals, right? Those morals that he encompasses aren't going to be easily swayed with regards to stepping outside, somebody coming in and offering a different opinion. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. Yeah, from Elton. Hey, Elton. He said self-awareness equals confidence. For sure. Yeah. Equally yoked. I love that. Training with Tootie. I love that. But yeah, so just standing in your square, that's something that I like to say, is remaining true to just who you know you are in this world.
Right.
Another one I feel is important is leadership. Because again, like I said, I do feel that the pure masculine is a leader.
Right.
And I do feel that when men are in their best, highest versions of themselves, they are able to lead, they are able to provide for the household under that umbrella of leadership.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And I would say for the third one, because you did ask for three, I would say another big one is understanding his own life's mission. I feel that's another thing that's gone very wrong in the Black community, is that we are not encouraging a lot of our men to seek their mission. It's like their mission is the woman, and I don't believe that's how it should be.
Oh, I despise that. Like,
I don't feel like that's how it should be. And we've all met somebody that it's just never okay unless there's a woman in their life, in their bed. But yet you don't understand why you keep fighting these same demons over and over and over. But it's because, but who are you outside of these women that are bringing in these what she said, the soul ties and all the toxicity and the broken, unhealed trauma and all that bullshit. Who are you outside of everyone else?
I like that.
You don't know where you're going. You don't know your mission. You don't know what you want out of your life. And so you are allowing this very unrocky boat to be steered by just any woman that comes along.
Right. I like that. I agree.
And that's extremely dangerous. So,
and I will say this, I have tried to express this as much as I could to young Black boys, right? One of the things that I try to get them to understand is that, like, you have something you need to accomplish on this planet. What is that? Find that out, figure it out, and if you do want a woman, the right woman will come along. I'm not religious in any sort, but one of the things my father used to tell me that he said that he used to ask me, like, what was the first thing God gave Adam in the Bible? And I was like, shit, I don't know. Was it Eve? And he said, no. The first thing he gave Adam was work. He told him to the garden. And so I try to explain to these young boys that if you have something that you can hang your hat on, have something that you can do, put yourself into, the right woman will come along to help support that. Not saying that women are just there to support and women don't have a mission of their own, but you know, if that's what you're in search of, a woman to help you, the right woman will come along.
And that's what it all goes back to, a man having a vision. Like, if you don't have vision, then it's kind of like you're just feeding into your desires. You're not really building on a legacy, or you don't understand what your legacy is even supposed to be. And it scares me when there are men, and many of which that approach me, men that hit me up or be like, oh, I just want a girlfriend, or oh, I just want a wife, or oh, I just want this, I want that. Okay, well, who are you though? And why are you so, infatuated or so, determined to be with someone? Is it because you're not comfortable with yourself?
Right.
And I know for me, like, especially during the pandemic, like, I really purged myself. Like, I fasted and, really practiced abstinence just to, like, really get all that energy out, so that I can understand, like, who am I really? Like, yes, I can have intellectual conversations and I can talk about X, Y, and Z, but who am I at the core of it all? And it takes someone to say that you don't want a wife or you don't want, a husband. You have to be able to say, I'm ready to be a wife, or I'm ready to be a husband. And when you change that focal point, then you start to behave in that mentality, and you attract essentially someone that wants the same thing. But when you lead with, you just want somebody else, and it's kind of like you're just feeding into your own demons, your own traumas, whatever that is, whether it's, growing up in a single parent household, or, being abused, or whatever the case is, you're looking for someone to essentially be that companion to fill that void, or whatever it is that you're lacking.
Well, look, you guys, I think that those were all great points. We're nearing the end of our time. And so, like I mentioned before at the beginning of this, one of the reasons we're doing this is obviously to create a forum for people to have a conversation about these topics that, are difficult to talk about, hard to talk about within a relationship, and just aren't being talked about. So with that being said, with us having these conversations, we also want to find ways to offer solutions to the problems, right? And in everything that I heard, in some of the stuff that I read at the forefront of this, there's a lack of ability for men to be androgynous, right? To be in their masculine and in their feminine, and
the yin and the yang,
right? And even vice versa for the women as well. And as a man, I felt like it was my responsibility to offer some solutions to men that could get them headed in the right direction. And with that being said, one of the things that I came up with that I felt like could help men get themselves into their feminine a little more was via Tai Chi. I felt like Tai Chi gave them an opportunity to, well, there's 5 major points for it. One of them, it gives you an opportunity to tap into your intuition, right? With your movements inside of Tai Chi, not every movement is fixed, right? You have the ability to move your own way, to paint your own picture within it. All right, that's one part. It gives you an opportunity to connect with the body, and these are all ways to tap into your feminine. You connect with the body, obviously with Tai Chi, it's movement meditation. Another part is you honor the light and the dark of yourself, right? So, as an example, as a man, most men lack patience, right? Like we're very impatient in some regards, and when you're practicing Tai Chi, you have to be patient because you're not going to capture it all initially, and it's something to learn, something to put yourself into, and so you have to honor the dark part of yourself as well as the light, which is when you get the movement going, that's the light, but then the practice and the mess ups is the dark part. Self inquiry, that's also something that gets you to tap into your feminine. You ask yourself questions. Obviously, through Tai Chi, you have to figure out things about yourself. You're inquiring, how do I do this? Why am I doing this? What is the purpose behind it? And then, of course, the last one that can get you to touch into your feminine is to slow down. I think a lot of men are just fast paced. We live in a day and age where there are other women, along with other men, telling men to go get it, grind, get up, work hard, fast paced stuff. And it's like, slow down a little bit. And, I'm pretty sure the women could speak to having experience with men in the bedroom who probably didn't know how to slow down. So, it's something that men can probably practice as well to get into their feminine is to slow down a bit. And so, again, to offer that, I hope it gives men an opportunity to figure out how to tap into their feminine. Miss Vicky, if you want to close on anything.
Yes, and whoever added them little hearts when he said that, we looking at you. Y'all are amazing. So basically, because I know we're short on time, but one of my biggest solutions was having these open conversations up front, having honest communication, asking them literally within if and this is for people who are just getting to know one another, asking them straight up, what are your expectations? What are you looking for? What do you expect? And not waiting until 3 months into it. If you're a man, for instance, and you're looking for a woman that can cook a couple times a week, guys, you should not know 3 months later that she can't boil water. Fix it, Jesus. Come on, y'all. Come on. So having and I'm just being silly, but having these very honest conversations up front. And the other one I wanted to touch base on really quickly was periodic check-ins, literally asking them, and this is even for long-term relationships, do you feel supported with what I'm doing in this relationship? Do you feel appreciated?
Into that.
And but the biggest thing is accepting the answer, no matter what. It may not even be you may not like the answer.
Yeah.
But providing that safe space for them to say whatever it is they need to say. I feel that is a very doable first step that all of us can take, whether you've been together 10 years, 15 years, or you've known this chick 15 minutes sitting across the table at Papados. You should be starting to ask some of these questions let me figure it out. Let's not waste time. Let's start figuring it out. Let's see if we're even vibing on the same wavelength right now.
Yeah, I feel like communication is so underrated. I see somebody said communication is so important. We always hear communication is key, but people really be either scared to say what they really be thinking because they don't want to either offend somebody or hurt their feelings or be viewed as, a certain type of person, or B, they just wasn't really trained or wasn't exposed to healthy communication skills. Majority of your Black children are growing up in single parent households, and that's because go through a certain period of time where all you're seeing is just your parents arguing and all these different things, and you know, it self psychologically programs you to be like, well, let me not say that because I remember when my mama said this or my dad said this, my mama popped off, so now I don't want to get that same result. And so I feel like that's how we can take it a step further and provide solutions by really learning how to communicate and not just tell people that they need to communicate or tell them that they need to do this and this. You know, we need to start doing some research on what are great practices, you know, what are, you know, some mentors or just great leaders that we can, you know, listen to that can help us with that, or go to these mentors that have these long relationships, that's been married for 20 years, 30 years. Like, I was talking to somebody today, 2 people actually, and I asked the girl how long she been married, and she said 11 years. I said, well, is it the love of your life? And she said, no, you know, he just eventually became the love of my life. I said, you've been married 11 years and you ain't married the love of your life? I was like, why did you marry him? She was like, because when men love, they really love. And there's always that saying, you know, a woman should always be with a man that loves her more than she loves him. But she extended and said that when a man loves, he really loves. But a woman can learn to love. And I thought that that was very like, And so she basically said that she did not want to be with this man, but he was doing all the things that was required of to be with him, to be with her. And because he was consistent, yes, she married him, but she ain't, you know, still didn't like love him. You know, she loved what he was able to do for her. But then eventually she's like, you know what? If he's doing all these things, I have no choice but to just love him unconditionally. And I thought that was an interesting perspective.
Well, I will say that those are all great points, and those are obviously, hopefully, whoever's watching gained some insight and some information. You know, and at the very minimum, started a conversation. That's probably one of the more important things. But I know our time's ending. I want to thank everybody for coming and commenting. I know there's been a lot of awesome comments out there. I wish we could have responded and hit all of them, but you know, whatever you did.
We'll try to be better about going through the comments as we continue on. This is our very first episode, so we plan on doing this every week, and we'll do our best to, you know, kind of regularly check the messages. But I want to thank all of you that know me personally that joined in.
Right. And whatever it is you didn't feel like you got heard, please, I'm going to post this on my page. You can go ahead and comment or ask questions if you need to, and we'll try to pick those up the following Wednesday. We will have another show next week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You know, we hope you all come to show. Barry, thank you for showing up. And
thank y'all. This is great.
Thank you.
We appreciate you so much. Again, thank you, everybody, for coming. Hopefully, we'll look forward to you guys coming next week, Wednesday. This is On the Spectrum. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye. See ya.